in terms of shared investment, one of the speakers at this morning's session, let me just quickly get his name, Ashish Thakur. He's the founder of Mara Group. He actually says that we need to look at intra-trade relationships. We shouldn't always want to look for Let's focus on what we can buy from our neighbors, what we can sell from our neighbors. Why is it that we seem to have issues with inter-trade relationships?
I mean, some of that is historical, obviously. The roads were built to take natural resources to the border of Africa and then beyond, and they weren't built to connect people up. So in a place like Mozambique, for instance, about a quarter of the rural population does not live within 2 kilometers of a real proper road that they can use. So farmers are not connected to markets, and that's within the same country. Don't talk about moving from one African country to another, where sometimes you have to go to Paris or London in order to go to your neighbor. That is cutting down. There are now more plane links within the continent. There are more train routes. China's played a huge role. So you can actually drive along the coast of Africa from South Africa all the way to Nairobi on reasonably well-paved roads today, because that infrastructure has been developed. However, the infrastructure is not quite there yet, and the biggest obstacle to intra-Africa trade is the infrastructure. The second obstacle is probably the difficulties at borders, where there are loads of signatures that need to be signed, loads of bureaucratic procedures, and loads of obstacles just getting your goods across the border. And finally, it is really about agreeing regional trade agreements, and those have been on the table for a very long time. A lot of countries are very nervous about losing tariff revenue or opening their markets to imports.
But then you see they've come up with this CET among 15 ECOWAS countries to try to improve on all these challenges that you've talked about, especially as regards tariff. And some of them are still kicking against it because they feel that they're going to be on the short end of the stick. And so at the end of the day, is the CET the best thing right now to enhance inter-trade relationships that we've been talking about?
I think we have to work on it on several fronts. If we look at one of the best examples of regional trade integration in the world today, it's the EU, and they've been working on it for 65 years. So I think the CET is a great aspiration, just as I think the tripartite free trade alliance between COMESA, SADC and EAC are also great aspirations. There are a lot of people in Africa, but it is only equivalent to the size of India's economy. India has one set of regulations, so you do have to do all you can to make sure that you combine those 55 regulatory environments to the extent possible into a few that are more manageable, that you can trade across.
Now let's look at our financial services sector. As much as possible, when these investments begin to come in, it's going to be the banks first, in the line of receiving them. Now, in terms of banking, Africa has actually been described as the next Silicon Valley of banking, because the future of banking is being defined here. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's true that Africa's banking has been truly innovative. Mobile banking started here. We're now thinking about taking that to London. Yeah. I think the 40% of Africa's unbanked is a great opportunity. You just talked about the chief executive of Mara Group. I know he's got plans in banking as well as in other areas in Africa. I think without a financial sector, it's very hard to actually get finance from those who want to save it to those who want to use it to invest. And that's very important. In the recent past, Africa has come on a long way. So Africa's sovereign bonds have risen. About 3 countries sold sovereign bonds in 2006. Last year, Africa attracted about 8 billion, and several countries were on the international markets. The markets have broadened, they've deepened. Equity markets across the region are beginning to function really well. I think financial markets in Africa are definitely a growth opportunity, and they are much needed. And then let's not forget about insurance. Insurance is a key one. If you're thinking about a country, a continent that has challenges and risks, well, the first thing you've got to do is identify those risks, and the second thing you have to do is manage them. And one good way to manage them is to take out insurance.
Now, looking at it in Nigeria's context, all of this investment is going to be hopefully tracked, coming our way, and right now we still have high foreign direct investment coming into Nigeria, but then we need to properly position ourselves to ensure that these investments that are coming in are harnessed and used in the best way possible, which is, apart from the fact that the company coming in wants to make profit and make profit, let's put it that way, we're also interested in making profit and of course acquiring skills. Now, in terms of ensuring that happens, do you think that we have the right framework, let's say regulatory framework, policies in place to ensure that when we do have these companies coming in, we're not on the short end of the stick?
I think that's a work in progress. Companies obviously are out to make profits for themselves, and when they have come to Africa to invest in the past, the strategy has been mainly about how that company makes profits for itself. Today, there are a number of plans by governments to ensure that they extract maximum benefit from companies that are coming in. And companies are also realizing that you can't go into an environment to invest and not recruit locally, and not make sure that locals are available to, are pulled in to the gains that your company has. So a number of the multinationals in Africa that I've been seeing today have senior leadership taken from amongst Africans, so that Africans who are leading multinationals in Africa. I think that's happening a lot, and it's going to happen a lot more.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break now to catch our breath, and when we come back, we'll start our conversation from where do the entrepreneurs, the small and medium enterprises, where do they fit in all of this? We're having investments coming in. Definitely, we have, in Nigeria at least, we have about 17 million. So you don't even want to begin to count how many we have in Africa. Where are they in the scheme of all this huge investments that we're expecting to come in? You're still watching Business Morning, and we're broadcasting live from the nation's capital, Abuja, venue of where the World Economic Forum Africa meeting is actually going on. And